Hey, fellow film fans, England Teen here for Xtreme Movie Show, and it's Top 10 Tuesday. We've been counting down the 80s, yes, again, this time including including the real Dr. Venkman, excuse me, and the rest of you guys. So remember, when we're counting down, put in your vote. If you're listening to this after it's been posted, put your top 10 of 1983 in the comments below, and we're going to score everything up at the end of the decade here after we do 1999 and figure out what the true countdown is. What are the top 10 movies of the 1980s? Now, to help me count that down as well, I mentioned the real Dr. Venkman.
It's going.
And, of course, Rob Classic.
Good evening.
All right. It just seemed like I could not wait to introduce you. So it just...
you spooged yourself there, sir.
A little bit.
As long as you clean up, I appreciate it. I don't really care, because we all know cleanliness is next to godliness or something.
It's all, cleanliness is close to claustrophobia and cleavage.
And if you don't, you're just going to grow some hair on that palm of yours.
That's true. That's true. All right. So, yeah, we're talking about the year 1983. 13 years old. That's how old I am at this point. So this is different because when we do our countdowns, we're not necessarily talking about the best movies of the years. We're talking about our most favorite movies of the year. So sometimes these Oscar movies or even more popular films might not make it into our countdowns, but some silliness will. Let me ask you a question there, Rob. How was it making this movie? Did you the movie list for this year, was it easy? Were there too many movies, too few? What do you think?
If I recall, the last time we did this before initially, and upon reviewing it and checking out some more films, I would say it's very easy to make the list. A ton of films are really good. But like I say, somewhere around here, the mid-'80s is when things just kind of stop losing their creativity and they just become, over the top 80s, steroid-induced movies, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I mean, it's like it just took it to the next level, as we would say, back in the 80s, which movies can't do at all anymore these days. And frankly, it's a really good list with there's a lot of just goodness in this. It's probably not the best meal, but it's a lot of them.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna add to what you're saying. And first of all, I think it's the way to excuse me for hijacking what you were saying, but 1970s was a real good year for what they call the maverick filmmaker, because it was they just got off the studio system, and yes, these independent filmmakers, you got the Scorseses, you got Lucas, you have Spielberg popping up. They're doing their own thing, and it really is a certain vibe in the 1970s. But it goes from studio to maverick, and then somewhere, I agree with you, about 1985, 1986, because in 1985, we're still feeling the last bits of the maverick filmmaker. I think in 1986, it really becomes corporate. So you go studio to maverick to corporate movie. And that really grabs hold in the 90s. But for this, I'm looking at my list and I'm thinking, man, there's a lot of good movies in 1983, but there aren't a whole bunch of excellent movies in 1983.
I agree.
That was one thing. And you mentioned this is a backyard barbecue in 1983. This is somebody making a really good hamburger versus like 1982 could have been that 5-course Michelin star meal at a fancy restaurant. And that's the way, this is comfort food. When I'm looking at my list right here, I just see movie after movie that could be described as comfort food. And that's what you're going to get from me.
It's a buffet. That's what it is. There you go. There's something for everyone. Yeah.
Like say hello to Zach Richmond. We're doing 1983. How are you doing? And I would have to say that, I did end up, I made sure that I included everything. There were 27 movies that I figured were good for the top 10. And some of them I had to cut out they didn't even make my runner-up because I remember liking the movie, I just don't remember the movie itself. And some of them are big names to you, sir. And I would be surprised if you don't have a couple of them on your top 10. The Hunger, Videodrome, 10 to Midnight, King of Comedy, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, Easy Money, and The Right Stuff. That being said, did you have any runner-ups?
The question is how many, because frankly, I don't know where to start. I'll mention about 10 of them just off the top of my head, okay?
All right.
Sudden Impact, Cujo, The Entity, Videodrome, Star 80, Kroll, Table for Five, Star Chamber, The Dead Zone, Man with Two Brains, and Octopussy.
Okay, you know, we might be on the same page on a couple of these. Venkman, did you come up with a runner-up list, or do you?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. I got starting with Christmas Story at 16, 15 Flashdance, 14 Cujo, 13 Superman 3, number 12 Revenge of the Ninja, number 11 Sudden Impact.
All righty, here's something. We have a hat trick on our runner-up list. My runner-up list is To Be or Not to Be with Mel Brooks, Bad Boys with Sean Penn, Big Chill, Pirates of Penzance, Christine, Man with Two Brains, Sudden Impact made all three of our runner-ups. Risky Business, Valley Girl, which me and Gail just recently watched and it holds up, and Twilight Zone the movie, which leads to our top 10. Rob, start us off. What you got for us, man?
Bad Boys, Sean Penn.
Okay.
Asa Morales, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's fantastic in there too. I've always said he's got great screen presence. If you're watching the show on Netflix, Ozark, I believe in season 1, he's the main bad dude. Man, this guy just has it. He's got the Latino heat down. Bad Boys, you know, guy ends up in prison, and it's the only film that at that age, besides that Scared Straight crap that we were forced to watch, that made me go, I don't want to mess up because it might be like Bad Boys, you know, and that didn't even include rape, you know what I'm saying? Or if it did, I don't recall it. Yeah,
but being beaten with a pillowcase full of soda cans is about that's enough. I don't need to see more, you know, because that is something that happens in the movie. It's a good movie. Like I said, it barely made my list, but it's still that's why the 80s are so good. You get a list filled with movies that might not even be on your top 10, but you can see why it would be on someone else's. Great film.
It's not happy. Yeah, it's not.
Oh no, it's not an easy movie to watch. Esau Morales actually goes to prison after he rapes Sean Penn's girlfriend, played by Ali Sheedy.
Adam. Yeah.
Yeah. Maranya says her runner-up, 13 is Superman 3. Number 12, Mr. Mom. Number 11, The Man with Two Brains. Another hat trick, Man with Two Brains, which I'm sorry that didn't make the top 10s because, man, just to be able to go, Duke of oil. But,
oil. I don't mind you putting Windex in my ass.
I can't do it. What? I can't shoot you in the ass with Windex. I don't mind. Yeah, it's my voice, isn't it? Yeah, good film, fun film, but unfortunately not in the top 10s. However, Venkman, what do you have at your top 10? Number 10.
We're going with a car called Christine, starring Keith Gordon, Alexandra Paul, who ended up being on Baywatch, John Stockwell, Radioactive Dreams, which we covered in Kicking It, and what we should be covering soon in 1986, Top Gun. This movie is one of my probably one of the first car movies I had seen when I was growing up, and I probably shouldn't have seen it at such a young age, probably age 8 or 9.
We were 13.
So it's about a kid. He's basically wants his own car. He comes across. He's basically got to go find a car. He comes across this car. It's a 57 Plymouth. Fury, Plymouth Fury, so anyway, he finds this car, and turns out this car back in the factory, it's been haunted, and 20 years ago in the factory killed 2 workers. And when he gets this car starts changing. His personality goes from the dweeb to the popper kid, because he's got the sweet ride. He gets a girl he always liked, he goes on a date with her. She gets gonna get locked in the car. This car is just protective over the owner. It gets a bond with him.
Jealous female.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
like I said, it's a good movie. I don't want to say too much about it. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
It's in my runner-ups. I enjoy this film. It's a John Carpenter as well, so I don't doubt that Rob's got some love for it. But one of the things that keeps it out is it's a Cliff Notes. And that always kind of bothers me when it comes to certain adaptations. Now, if you read it, it reads like a Cliff Note of the book, Christine. One thing they do leave out is the possession of the car. The car is actually being possessed by the guy who owned it before Arnie did. Arnie is, by the way, the kid in Back to School. To answer Ed Brewer's question, yes, he is the Back to School kid. That being said, I think it's an entertaining film.
I remember reading the book, and the book was actually, Christine is actually the soul of a witch that was burned at the stake.
Yeah, that's too detailed sometimes for movies, which...
yeah, I got... It was possessed. It was.
I don't remember it for the film.
That was in the book. I remember reading the book for it.
So I do remember a couple of things when we saw this film. And I remember Rob looking... he's watching this film, and he goes, wow, she is picture perfect. Talking about Alexandra Paul at the time.
Yep.
So,
well, I was just going to mention that again, because I don't remember me telling you that. But
yeah.
That's what we had as our beauty standard in the 80s. I mean, we had lots of lovely women. I'm not saying I'm not prudish by any means, but today I just see, 12-year-olds, fat, inked up, and, multicolored hair, only gazillion piercings, which, hey, more power to you, I guess. But then you compare that to this, it's like, come on, bro. I'm going to do my Joe Biden. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
It's a bunch of malarkey.
There you go.
And the guy with the best butt chops of all time.
Now I'm going to go from his horror film. I've got a horror movie I want to talk about. It's at my top 10. And the reason why I put it there, the reason why I thought, it does deserve a place on this list. I saw it. I'm going to watch it again with Gail here, because I think, she loves horror films. And this is a movie does not get enough love for the kind of movie it is. It's a very gothic film, but because it's a sequel, and because of what it is a sequel of, I don't think it got the respect, and that is Psycho 2. Very well told movie. It's more psychological than your average slasher film, and I think that is what turned a lot of people off on it, because this is the height of the slasher movie. So you get a lot of people wanting another Jason or another Freddy or Michael Myers, and everybody would tell you that Norman Bates is the one that started all of this off. So they were expecting more of a slasher film than what they got. It's more psychological. You watch a man who just got out of prison, who just wants to live his life, get attacked by people who do not think that he deserves that normal life. And so they try to drive him crazy. And it's done very well, very well. I'm glad I watched it. And like I said, I kind of want to watch it again with Gail here. But there you go. Number 10, Psycho 2. You've seen this one, right, Rob?
Yeah, and I don't think the Psycho movies were that bad. And one of the things I know that we talked about even back then is, Psycho's supposed to be one of the greatest movies of all time, not just horror or whatever. And there was, I don't know if it was like the 30th anniversary when we were kids or 25th or something, but I remember them showing it once or twice. There was a big discussion in our family whether or not we could go see it, because something like that they didn't really play on TV that I recall. Maybe on HBO they did. But that being said, I remember when the second and I think the third one came out, we went, for what they are, they're not bad, and that was a surprising thing, because again, sequels were not a big deal in the 80s. They became one, but up to that point, for them to do something like that with Psycho was kind of a big deal in itself.
Yeah. Yep. No number 10s yet, but we've got the runner-ups. Let's see. We've got Zach saying his runner-ups, Jaws 3D. Yeah, I said it. It's terrible, but it's fun. We rewatched those too, and it's just terrible, Zach. It's just terrible. Let's see. It's so terrible I couldn't make the leap to number 4. And Jim Sorensen chimes in his number 10, Fire and Ice, the animated movie, which is not bad. All right, let me write that down for you there. Okay, and let's see. Number 10 for Maranya is Silkwood, saying this movie showed that Cher was more than a fantastic singer. She was an incredible actress as well. I liked it. It was all right, but it was a little bit. I remember when I was a kid, it was a little bit over my head. Did Psycho 2 make your 1983 list last time? I don't think it did. I don't think it did. All righty. How about number 9? What do you got?
Well, we pretty much covered it, so I don't have too much more to add, other than I never understood why John Carpenter didn't work more with Stephen King material. It seemed like a match made in heaven. That's, of course, Who knows why, but Christine's for me at number 9. It's probably not the greatest story in the world, I think. I think it's just really standard fare, and I think it's kind of watered down, like we were mentioning before with the books, which is always a complaint about Stephen King. And there was a lot of people that thought King was a hack anyway. That being said, I think overall the film's just a little bit better than what it probably deserves to be, but it's just good enough, and it's got a little bit of, you know, some of that Stephen King edge to it that's not goofy or cutesy or whatever, and all that. So no happy endings like they always promised, because we know how these things go, but cute film, enjoyable. It's definitely one to watch during the fall.
All righty. Yep. I'm the only one without it on my top 10. Oops. All right. How about you, Venkman? Number 9. What do you have for us?
We're going to go to Octopussy, where the first time I saw a Modern Girl actually have a camel toe in a skin-tight red leotard. Wow. I was like, wow, it's out there.
That's what you got out of the movie, man. That's what you got out of the movie.
Well, it's Bond working with a bunch of women who are warriors. Much to Rob's demise, he does not like this movie as much as I like this movie, apparently.
I like the movie just fine.
No, I'm the one. I'm the guy who is not.
Oh, you're the one. I was one of the two.
My saying is you can stop watching Roger Moore after For Your Eyes Only.
But I like this when Roger Moore has to dress as a clown in the circus to get that Gerda bomb. The whole circus fight on the train was entertaining. And for those who don't know this, he was visited by Superman himself, Christopher Reeves, on set while he's dressed as a clown. There's a backstage photo that I found a couple years ago. I was like, holy crap. I never knew that him and Roger Moore were friends. This basically it's Bond doing what Bond does, making sweet love to women on an island full of women, and avoiding being killed while he's trying to find his fabricated egg that was stolen by a clown in the beginning of the movie. And he's basically worried that the Russians are involved. And as I said, I don't want to spoil too much more. Just go watch it, man. If you haven't watched it, I might watch it again eventually soon. We're gonna do a Bond rewatch party, I guess. Yeah, we could do that, and eventually I'll have to watch this and Moonraker. So there you go. So, hey, at least this has got camel toe Mohawk Girl. Moonraker, not so much. Okay. You might get a guy camel toe. You don't want that.
I want to comment on what Maranya has to say for Silkwood with Cher. I remember Cher was trying to reinvent herself. I think at this point they had divorced already. Sonny and Cher, of course. Now, I don't know if Maranya remembers if she's a big Cher fan, but two things about Cher. This may shock you. You know, I despise, of course, any sort of electronic modification to voices. I understand making, you know, crazy sounds or whatever. So, of course, I'm going with auto-tune. And Cher's song, you know, Do You Believe? Do you believe? Yeah. I like the fact that that was the first song to use it because as an artist, she was experimenting with what could be done with it. And she has, of course, that singing style that's so unique. That's the only, to me, auto-tune song that's even tolerable. But the big thing is I saw a clip not too long ago, I think on my Twitter stream, that was completely unfair. Might have been like on this day in TV history or something. And she's on, I think it's the Sonny and Cher show, and she's getting ready to go on stage. And this is back when they had variety shows in the 70s, which are still better than anything on TV today. And then they had her coming out with Raquel Welch and singing up that "'Cause I'm a Woman" song. And this is probably Cher and probably consider her finest, most beautiful, whatever you want to call her. And all I kept thinking to myself was, and this is showing my age, it's not fair to put Cher or anyone on stage with Raquel Welch, because certainly Raquel's not the singer or the talent Cher is. But you look at these two together and I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And then there's WAP. Let's move on. I just want to say, for those who are fans of Alien, they give you a slight nod to the movie when he shoves the goon's face to a tank full of the octopus, and octopus grabs on the face like a face hugger. Death by Octopussy. It seems this Bond is a species soon to be extinct. That guy's delivery was great. I love it. You have a very nasty habit of surviving, Mr. Bond. I love the trank guns too in this movie too. Oh yeah, or better yet, when he goes to meet his undercover guy who was an actual professional tennis player, Vijay Singh, and he gets off and he's walking through the market or whatever like that, and he's just kind of like looking around or something. This was always the cool stuff in Bond that never gets done anymore. That just makes you pop. Where the guy, it's the snake charmer sitting there or like that, and he's just playing some random music. Then all of a sudden you hear, you know, on the flute or whatever. And he's like, stop playing with your ass. I mean, just Roger Moore's so good at that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I just want to quickly comment on Eric Breen. That's still waiting for that notification. I never got one, too, on my phone. The first time I've never got a notification for this stream at all.
There you go.
I had to click on the actual page.
My number 9, I got to tell you, it flipped back and forth. And I'm like, okay, do I? Because it was really my number 9, Psycho 2, and Twilight Zone, which just made number 11. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put it here because I really do actually enjoy the first 75% of this movie quite a bit. And the part where we were supposed to get Brainiac didn't appear, but that's Superman 3. I actually thought about, you know, when I was a kid, I loved this. I still can watch it. I've got the Superman movies in that big box set. I'm a huge fan. This is an entertaining movie. It just leads right up to that bit where we were supposed to fight Brainiac, but instead we fought a Lady Robot thing. But I dig, of course, everybody loves the what do you call it? The dump fight, whatever you know, the junkyard fight. Yeah, between Clark Kent and Superman. Him drunkenly firing peanuts into the mirror and everything. There's a lot to that, but I actually like the story in Smallville as well. I think, to me, it's enjoyable watching Christopher Reeve be this character. There's very rarely, even with all the superhero films out there, do we get an actor and a character put together so well that it's just entertaining watching that actor be that character. And Christopher Reeve, in my opinion, as Superman or Clark Kent, is the top of the list. It's just a very entertaining film. And I you know, even as Clark Kent going back to Smallville High during the reunion, yeah, that's entertaining to me. I can watch that all day. Fun time. Superman 3, my number 9.
That scene where the girl becomes a cyborg, that scared the crap out of me as a kid.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that is the most disturbing thing. And like, you know, she's like, help me. Ah! I was like, wow, they made an actual scary part in a Superman movie.
Well, I liked it a little bit better when I was 13 than I do now, you know, because at 13, you're just along for the ride. I remember enjoying, I think even at 15, I enjoyed Howard the Duck. But now
between 10 and 12 is when I started watching all these movies. So it's like, yeah, I've never seen anything like that before too. And I did not watch horror movies in general. So that was kind of like, oh, that's kind of gross.
I didn't read it off, but Zach Richmond's number 10 was Mr. Mom. Jim Sorensen at number 9 has Psycho 2. Terms of Endearment for Moranya, one of Gail's favorite movies of all time. Let's see, Zach saying number 9 is The Right Stuff. Eric Breen just popped up saying his runner-ups at 18 is Psycho 2, 17 Risky Business, 16 Octopussy, 15 Flashdance, 14 10 to Midnight, 13 Dr. Detroit. Woo, Doctor. All right. And number 12, Sudden Impact. And number 11, Terms of Endearment. Number 10 for Eric, Eddie and the Cruisers. Number 9, National Lampoon's Vacation. Wow. Vacation at number 9. We're going to have to talk about that later. The only National Lampoon branded movie that I've ever watched is Animal House. The others never interested me. Really? Vacation is awesome. But there you go. All righty, Rob, let's go to number 8. What you got for us?
At number 8 is a movie that I just need to take a moment to kind of summarize, and I'll do that by mentioning that we kind of at the last minute came up with a film to talk about today, RDV and I, that's got a powerlifting evil dice lady who kicks ass with her sash and stuff, and it's just gonzo 80s type martial arts films called Lucky Stars or whatever. Sammo Hung in it, Jackie Chan's in a little bit. But the best thing about it is you know, the opening scene is Jackie Chan and we don't care who the hell his partner is, are running around in this amusement park, you know, outside by Mount Fuji. And they're chasing the bad, evil Jap dudes in suits or whatever. Who cares why? But they have their little fight and it's cool. But then the best thing that you go, oh, gee, it's going to be so over the top. A bunch of ninjas jump out, and then another batch of ninjas jump out to defend these evil bad guys. So, of course, where I'm going with this is the fact that the 80s was the decade of ninja, and the best movie ninja of all time is Revenge of the Ninja, coming in at number 8 with Sho Kosugi in it. That we covered this maybe a month or two ago. It's phenomenal start to finish. It's required watching. If you're gonna watch any movie that has to do with ninja, watch this movie first. It's fantastic. It's got little Ken Kosugi in it, showing you his chops. It's just got all the 80s stuff that you want into it. It's phenomenal. It's the best ninja movie of all time, and deserves its rightful place at number 8. It actually moved up my list, sir. That's how good it is on rewatching it.
Say its name.
What?
I said, say its name one more time.
Revenge of the Ninja.
Revenge of the Ninja.
Ninja.
Is this
The
the
length of
one?
the blade must be precise. And then he catches the
Sometimes-
coffee cup falling off the guy's desk or whatever, and then he's just looking at him. Come on, man, you can't get better. That's my Joe Biden for the night. Come on, man, you can't get better than that.
The one that always gets me is the slice and the body just kind of goes, and the blood starts shooting up. Yeah,
That's Gonzo. It's got the most blood squirt ever.
oh, it's not squirt. It's like a fire hose with somebody's thumb there.
That's my point, and it's on like a volleyball court, on the penthouse suite outside. It's outstanding. You've got fake ninjas, you've got ninjas hypnotizing people, you got punks getting the shit kicked out of them on a little kid's gym, outside play area. Nobody would even think of filming something like that today. That's the genius of Revenge of the Ninja.
All right, the genius. of
Hot
Revenge
tub
of the
scene is
Ninja.
genius. Yes.
There you go. All righty, Venkman, number 8. What you got?
Where's my beer? Damn woman took my beer out. Lone Wolf McQuade, man.
All righty.
She's coming in there. They got what's the name? Barbara Carrera, hot girl in there. Basically comes to him and wants his help to go against evil David Carradine as the villain. And he's basically Chuck Norris is basically like this, almost like a Rambo in this movie. As far as the beginning opening, he's like, "Is that Clint Eastwood? Can't see because the sun's blocking my view." And then he steps down. It's Chuck Norris, just freaking ripped. He's his tan, his skin's glistening, all that stuff. It's like, holy crap! This is like 80s action porn right here for like the mans of mans movies. He comes out, and they got his partner held hostage. Like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" He's like, and he just basically kicks the guy in the face and just goes crazy. He just goes Chuck Norris, everybody. And just basically, then he grabs the guy's machine gun and just blows them all away, and somehow misses the horses. But
he's no Ranchero, that's for sure.
But the best scene though is that they bury him in his truck. He's passing out. He cracks open a beer. He's like, "I'm better now." It's like Popeye, and he drives right out of the ground. It's
Fun
like
time.
I said, if you're gonna watch Chuck Norris movies, and like I said, I was talking to Rob, Chuck Norris, he started off doing all martial arts, and then he went to all guns. This is where I'd be like, this is where he peaks, I think, before he starts going, and it's just kind of retarded.
We did cover this in our Chuck Norris film.
Yes.
All righty. I remember watching this when it first came out a long time ago. I just haven't revisited it.
Oh, you gotta revisit. We'll do a watch party of this.
All right, sounds good to me, man. Sounds good to me.
It's just great, manly, fun, corny, but it's just like Chuck Norris. This is where the jokes come from. Chuck Norris. You could bury him in his truck, and bury him basically for death. And Chuck Norris will just crack open a beer, start his truck up, and drive right out. He's Chuck Norris.
Lone Wolf McQuade. Let me try that again. Lone Wolf McQuade is the beginning of all Chuck Norris jokes. All right, because Chuck Norris said so. All righty, my number 8, By the Pricking of My Thumb. Something Wicked, This Way Comes. Yeah, man, I remember as a kid, this scared the bejeebus out of me. I thought this was an amazing movie. It really, and it's held up, in my opinion. I've seen it. I remember watching this young with my cousin. Me and my cousin Chris, we went to see this film, and we took away a lot of the similar things. At the time, even I was more blonde and he was more dark haired and everything. So we thought that was kind of funny as Mr. Dark is trying to find them. And both of us thought, oh my gosh, her name, Foxy Brown.
Foxy Brown.
Yeah, no, but she's actually got an actress's name. But
Beyonce?
No, it's not Beyonce. It's from the 70s, dude. Thank you for whoever is going to tell me in the comment section who I'm thinking of, and I can't bring it up. But she plays the evil Spider Woman, and we all thought, wow, me and Chris thought, wow, Pam Grier, thank you.
Yeah, Pam Grier.
Really pretty in that, and but it's just a wild film. It actually plays like a scary Disney movie. I don't know if it is or not. I think it's Paramount or something like that.
Was she in the Charlton Heston movie, Mega Man?
No. But it is such a good horror film. The spider scene, of course, is the one that everybody talked about back in the day. But what got me was Paul Dano and the lightning rod and everything. I thought that was wicked. But it was one thing they do is they introduce this small town to you, and they take time out to introduce the characters. And for as much as I tell Rob, I'm not a big fan of slow moving movies. One thing we mentioned though is slow and precise is fine. This movie I don't think a lot of young kids would be into because it is a slow film. But everything it's doing is setting up. Like the first half is all set up for the second half. So when it really hits, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. But what gets me are some of the older people wish to be young again, and they just go flat out evil. So yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff in this film, and this movie holds up. Something Wicked This Way Comes, number 8. You've seen this film, right? Right, Rob?
Was it a Disney film?
I don't know. I guess.
Seriously, I'm not saying that as a joke. I don't, because remember Disney was kind of transitioning at this time.
But it definitely feels like it.
Okay, Jason Robards is in it, right?
Yep, he plays.
Yeah, he plays
the dad, and that's the wish that Mr. Dark puts in front of him. Because it's a Walt Disney movie. It is. No, it's the fact that he's too old to go out and play with his son, and Mr. Dark offers to make him young enough to be able to run and play and be the dad that he wants to be to his child, who's obviously way too young for him. He should be a grandfather, not a child at this point, or not just a father. And that was one of the things. Yeah. We have different lists, but when we don't talk about it, occasionally we have crossover, but we do not announce what each of us have, just so we could continue the conversation. It's a surprise to each one, whether it's good or bad. All right, let's see. Number 8 for Jim Sorensen, Risky Business. Number 8 for Eric Breen is Scarface, Monty Python, and The Meaning of Life for Moranya. Every sperm is needed. Every sperm is good. Let's see, because Chuck Norris said so. It's his delivery. Hi, guys. Hello to Joe Rogers. We're on number 8. And let's see, number 8 for Zach is Superman 3. All righty. Joe's catches up by saying at number 10, he's got Sleepaway Camp, and then
I keep forgetting to rewatch some of that stuff. Sleepaway Camp and some of those others.
Yeah, and then he spoils it. Let's see, number 9 is Trading Places.
He's selling it.
And number 8 is The Outsiders. All righty. Let's go to number 7. What do you have for us, Rob?
My list has actually moved around a little bit, and this is one that's actually moved a little bit higher. And yeah, Ed, keep this in mind too. We're both about the same age. We're all seeing almost exactly the same stuff, although he saw more just because of the way things were. Yep. So even now, ours is going to diverge it here a little bit, because he's saying it's not necessarily the best movies, it's our most favorite one. So to me, it's a combo of both, and that's why this movie coming in at number 7 is so fantastic, because on a rewatch, I friggin' forgot how good it felt to watch this movie and how awesome it is and how strong it is. And this movie was just so divisive and polarizing at the time, and it's a canon classic called 10 to Midnight with Charles Bronson.
I need to see that, man, because it was on the list to go on it, and I remember watching it on HBO. I think this movie was amazing, but in all honesty, I haven't seen it in so long. I remember liking it. I just don't remember the movie.
Exactly, and that's one of the things too. Is in rewatch you go, okay, it's kind of okay, but it doesn't. It still had that same whammy for me because it's shot almost kind of like low budget, where it's not big houses and everything else, where it just looks fake and phony. It looks like real downtown LA or wherever it's filmed. And so Charles Bronson's the old detective. He's got Andrew Stevens, who was a thing in the 80s. Let's be honest. Come on, he was. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And who's like his partner, and his partner's like the new breed of cop, and of course Bronson's the old one. And you see this in a scene where Bronson's like, we know this guy's the killer, but because all these stupid liberal judges and laws, we can't do anything out. We're going to plant evidence and nail this MFer. And Andrew Stevens, and the only way Andrew Stevens can is like, no, I can't go along with that. But this movie's fantastic because there's this guy he's sexually frustrated, and you could argue about whether or not prostitution should be legal or the nuclear family or how things are portrayed, but this guy's not unreasonably ugly. He's somewhat decent looking, but he's just frustrated. So he just starts whacking women and follows them while they're having sex and all that. And it's disgusting. It's creepy. It's very pervy. As a kid, I went, I don't want to turn into that guy. This guy's a creep. There's no surprises to it. There's no tricks. But damn it, Bronson is just so friggin' good. And it's a canon classic, wonderful film, excellent. It really stands apart from all this 80s schlockiness and fake goodiness that's out there in movies and all that too. Just an excellent film, especially if you're a Bronson fan or you like that sort of stuff. Man, he hit a whole bunch of home runs. I think Siskel and Ebert hated this film or something, and a bunch of people despised it. And I remember seeing it on HBO late at night when I was around, going, "Well, yeah, if my parents saw me watching this, I'd be in some deep doo-doo."
Oh yeah, it covered all of the letters on underneath. If you remember the HBO guide,
yes.
AV,
yes.
SS.
Yeah.
It had all of them underneath there.
But here's the thing about this movie. Okay, we're older now. We can watch it and not go, oh, that's shocking. Never heard of that before. But there's still that creepy vibe to it with the way it was, the source material is delivered and presented. And the way things are in today's society, I don't know if anything can be presented as kind of disgusting and creepy and all that. It's just not possible. This is
kind of a seen it all, thanks to computer graphics, thanks to YouTube and the internet. This is kind of a seen it all culture right at this point.
Allegedly,
yeah. Maybe not. All right, what do you have for us? Number 7, Venkman.
I'm going to go with The Man with Two Brains. And just this quote right here from him and the butler. So you and your wife are expected for dinner. And he's like, my wife won't be coming. Oh, and the butler's like, oh, I trust she's not ill. No, he's like, no, she's not ill. She's a cheap, vulgar slut. I've heard of this. This is was kind of weird for me for Steve Martin because I've seen him in The Jerk. Seeing him in this was kind of like, they were funny moments, and then there were moments where just kind of like, okay, this is like kind of weird even for me. But the whole plot, he has a brain and he wants to find the body. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The whole time he's talking to her, he can talk to her, and he's finally gets to the point where he's more in love with the brain than he is in love with his wife, who's a gold digger. Is just using him.
Yeah, Kathleen
Turner, isn't it?
Yeah, Kathleen Turner. Yep.
Yeah. So now, I thought it was actually a good movie. It's one of the first Steve Martin movies that I watched because my dad was obsessed with Steve Martin movies, so we watched pretty much everything. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles every freaking year, just like you do for Thanksgiving. But we'd watch it whenever it was on. Like, my dad's like, be like, "Hey, I want to watch this," and he's like, "No, we're watching this. It's on TV."
One of the we're sitting here watching this on HBO, me and Rob, and the one thing that is occasionally something will hit Rob and he will laugh so freaking loud people need to tell him to shut up. Sometimes it won't be something that's funny, which happens if
it was funny I would be laughing.
Yeah, well, to the rest of the world. But we actually ended up getting kicked out of a preview. Like, people come in, hey, we want you to watch this movie, and then we'll take notes on what you have to say and everything. And by the way, Rob did change this movie, but we went to a preview of the movie Alive, and he laughed at this guy flying out in an airplane. And sure enough, the sound effect was kind of a Wilhelm, so whoa, kind of a Wilhelm scream. Rob lost his shit, and they actually kept it out of the movie. There's a line in here.
It's a true story.
Yeah, there is a line in here where they go into a hotel. Kathleen, you know, the guys taking their names and everything. Kathleen Turner standing there, and he says, "Bellboy, excuse me, can you take Dr. Can you take Mrs. Hoffer and that lucky son of a bitch up to the room?" Rob lost it. I mean, that one, he just lost it. My parents are like, "Really? You got it?" Yeah, this movie's really funny. I like Man with Two Brains. Tons
when he goes to see the doctor, and you're like, what the hell is he doing? And he's like licking the wall, and he's like sharpening a pencil, but it looks like he's humping it. And he's like, what's going on with you? He's like, I mean, we haven't had relations in a while. It's frustration. And it's like, what the hell? I don't get it.
I will find myself humming the tune and sometimes singing, "If you like me like I like you, and we like both the same." Yeah. Speaking of high school, occasionally we're made to read books that we would never pick up out of the library ourselves. And sometimes they're boring as hell. And sometimes they're from S.E. Hinton and they're called The Outsiders. And this movie, directed by, I believe, Francis Ford Coppola, and had everybody who's about to become a star in it, was just a lot of fun. I like this film. Obviously, the lead characters were supposed to be our age. Of course, you know, Ralph Macchio was about 20 at the time when he was playing a character our age. But I thought it was just really, really kind of cool. It sort of spoke to the whole outsider and rich person thing. Of course, they were socias and greasers, which we weren't either one of those. But still, we understood what it meant to be outside that rich person clique that was in middle school at the time. It was junior high for us. It was just a very good film, and I liked Matt Dillon in it, liked all the violence and everything. But what got me as an adult, and I will say this is one of the cheesiest things, is we're doing it for Johnny. I think that's some of the funniest shit now. But yeah, I love this film. Outsiders, number 7. I know this isn't in your top 10, Rob.
Well, I've seen it. I just don't remember it. And I haven't seen it since then. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I know what you're talking about, but I'm like, okay.
Hey, Pony Boy.
Oh, yeah, Pony Boy. Stay gold, Pony Boy. That's the that's the
soda pop in here.
Yeah, I have a brother named Soda Pop. Says so on his birth certificate.
This was the first movie, I think. Was Emilio Estevez in this too, as well as Charlie Sheen?
Emilio Estevez was in it, as well as Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, of course, C. Thomas Howell, Diane Lane, Leif Garrett.
Was Charlie Sheen in it though?
No, Charlie Sheen wasn't in it. Yeah, but yeah, you had a Ralph Macchio, you know, played
Diane West.
Matt Dillon. It had a huge
sorry, not Diane West, Diane Lane.
Diane Lane, yeah, Diane Lane. Oh. So yeah, like I said, everybody who was about to be famous was in this movie.
The older Dill brother, yeah.
Let's see. Number 7 for Jim Sorensen was Christine. Number 7 for Eric Breen was Twilight Zone the movie. Never Cry Wolf, a good movie. For Joe Rogers, dude was such a wild and crazy guy. Arrow through the head. How do you not laugh? Zach Richardson says Cujo. Greasers vs. Socials. I grew up with those dudes in my neighborhood, says Ed. All righty. Let's move on to number 6 and wait for Maranya with her number 7 when she gets back. What do you have for number 6 there, Rob?
It's a movie you already mentioned, which at some point I want to get back to rewatch and might do that here in the next month or so, and it's Something Wicked This Way Comes. Right. I think what I recalled about it being Disney, that this was the first Disney movie that kind of flopped because they were, like I say, trying to transition, and I'm looking at the notes here going, yeah, it looks like it did financially, and I guess it was a troubled production. It was one of those movies where when you're watching it, it's just got this haunting atmosphere to it, but the thing I like about it the most is not necessarily the acting, but just the idea of that's where real horror comes in. It's like everybody has a price to pay for something that they want. And of course, you don't really want to pay it. Like, you know, an old guy wanting to be young, or, you know, a guy wanting a girl, or, you know, a guy wanting to be a football player again, you know, those things. And it has to do with that whole thing about life where, you know, it's really about entitlement. I mean, if you think about it, you get something that's, you don't pay the price for, you know, you don't deserve it. So it seems kind of like a harsh lesson to learn. But when Ray Bradbury originally wrote that, there was still, I think, a lot more emphasis placed on working for something that you get, and only then you deserve it, and anything else is, you know, pride, hubris, whatever you want to call it. And I liked how this is really an adult film, but you can watch it as kids because, you know, the kids are at that age, and Stephen King had this in a lot of his stuff too, where the kids are just at that adolescent stage where they're almost wanting to check out chicks or whatever, but they're buddies. And, you know, you got the small town stuff, which is always just a great little thing that, you know, we've done here in America as far as stories. I think once King, you know, bites the big one here soon, you're not going to really have anybody that does focus on small towns and characters and everybody knowing each other. So I really don't know who's going to hold up that slice of Americana, but boy, this film definitely captured it probably as good as you can, because I know some people think it's not that good, but just watching it, it's a little creepy. And when I did re-see it like 10 years ago, I went, oh, the boring guy from the James Bond film is in here as well. The Jonathan Pryce guy, the guy that plays Mr. Dark. Didn't know, of course, at the time.
Really good as Mr. Dark, though, man. You got to give it to him for that one. He's really. I did the same thing on a rewatch. I went, wait a second, that's, oh my gosh, yeah.
I didn't like Jonathan Pryce in Bond, but I liked Jonathan Pryce in one of the shows I mentioned a few nights ago when we were covering some stuff as far as TV shows that we had watched. And he was in that Tales from the Loop as a really old guy, and I didn't recognize him. I don't know if it's the makeup or really is that old, but he's like the old guy that kind of like starts it all and you don't know too much about him. And so the mystery is with him and his life's work and how it affects the small town. And I went, wow, it's like I said before, when you've got Brofeld Bond by Christoph Waltz, who everyone tells me he's a great actor, and I haven't seen anything else except for him in that. I go, well, I can't go based off that Bond movie. It's kind of similar. So coincident that their bad performances happen to be in Bond films.
Yeah.
But that being said, this is 1983, and we're talking about Something Wicked This Way Comes.
I think that Jonathan Pryce is an actor's actor. He's one of those that a lot of actors will probably go, oh my gosh, I'm working with him. That's awesome. While he's been in some movies that have been good, he's usually either unrecognizable, like Mr. Dark in Something Wicked This Way Comes, or Elizabeth Swann's dad in Pirates of the Caribbean. So it's not easy to pinpoint this is the guy you're talking about. One thing I would, if you don't mind, I want to tag on to our discussion about Something Wicked This Way Comes, is that this is one of the things I really love about this film. It does take time to set up before the parade comes in. But this town, give it just a little bit different lighting, and it could be a live-action Disney musical. And I think that's one of the things that plays to its strengths, that it really does come off like it could be the setting for Pete's Dragon or something along those lines, and then evil comes into it. So it really does fit. It's really good and effective. All right, number 6. What do you have for us there, Venkman?
Well, this is a movie I watched it, did not expect this scene, and I forgot about this scene actually, where Dan Aykroyd does blackface. This is Trading Places. So this is basically where Dan Aykroyd plays a yuppie, Wall Street yuppie, and is framed of a crime he didn't commit, so they can get Eddie Murphy, who is basically a homeless street smart guy, to take his place. I hired him in his position, and the reason they did it is because it was a bet between the two old guys who own this company. So basically. And so basically you have vice versa. Basically, it's one of those moral stories, you're like, appreciate what you got. Don't be a jerk. And I like that this actually had a happy ending where the two of them actually turned the tables on the old guys. Jamie Lee Curtis in here, she plays a whore. Not much different than what she plays. But it's pretty good.
Come on.
Whammy.
But like I said, I forgot there was a blackface scene in this, with Dan Aykroyd, coming on the train, coming in the room, and you have Eddie Murphy in the African garb. And I was just like, because it was a Halloween party. But still, it's like, I forgot about that when I was watching that last week, and I was just like, because I had this, I bought it on Walmart for $5. This her boobs are in the movie too. That was Halloween. But no, like I said, this was a fun movie. Eddie Murphy was, you had to watch his movies. He was just that good of an actor. Until he went Disney and voice acting, that's when his career kind of went.
Well, it went that way a little bit earlier than that.
Well, we don't speak about that movie.
It actually got a boost when he went to the Disney stuff. It went earlier than that. 'Cause he made bad choices.
As David Spade will tell you,
hey
that's
kids.
what got in trouble.
Yeah, I like that when he had the picture of Eddie Murphy. Hey kids, a falling star, make a wish. That was one of the best jabs. Number 6, man, there are certain things you wish you could do as a kid. And number 6, except for what ended up happening, I remember we were talking about hacking, and you go see this movie, and there's Matthew Broderick busting into NASA in War Games. And I thought that movie was awesome. We talked about it. Rob and I talked about it a few times during. Of course, this is another time when Rob gave me the "she's picture perfect" thing. Not those words, but Ali Sheedy in that movie.
Did I?
Yeah. You
Sheedy?
Yeah, in War Games. I never heard it again.
I've not seen it. I don't remember. I don't recall this.
Yeah, you did. You saw it at my house.
Hey, maybe I did.
Would you like to play a game?
Would you like to play a game? But yeah, this is a really good movie. One thing that I love about this film is this is a movie with action in it, but it's not an action film. I watched it recently, and not a lot happens, in all honesty. He does what he does. He's running from the cops. He goes to see the person who created the program, but it's more of an adventure story than an action film, and it works. The dialogue, the story keeps you going with bits of action thrown in. I was actually surprised at how much I liked this film that not a lot happened in. But what can I say?
There was a game for PS1 based off of this.
Oh, really?
You actually could play the game Thermonuclear War.
Yes.
All right. Global Thermonuclear War. No. I don't want to do that.
How about a game of chess? No, we want to play global thermonuclear war.
How about we play tic-tac-toe?
Yeah. All righty. So Jim Sorensen says, "Never Say Never Again" is his number 6. Star Wars Return of the Jedi was Moranya's number 6. Christine is Eric Breen's number 6. Joe Rogers says Blue Thunder. And Moranya says number 7 for her was The Right Stuff. Number 6 for Zach Richmond, Christmas Story. Looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis. All righty. Yeah, a bunch of bookies. There's a stock guy show. Okay, I get it. All right. Okay, let's move on. Number 5. Rob, what you got?
It's weird to say that I have this particular actor's magnum opus at a lowly spot of number 5 compared to the other films of 1983, but it's absolutely true. There's not much more to say to it other than we reviewed it, and that's Lone Wolf McQuade, because this movie is absolutely fantastic. Had a lot of fond memories of going and seeing certain films that I was only allowed to go see with my father, or maybe watching with my brother as the family. And this was one of them where my dad just sat there snickering the entire time, which he never, ever did because he was the quietest man on the planet. But there was something about Ranger, that was just so great. I love saying it. Every time I see or hear the word Ranger, I think of this movie because of that. And I think of one of the best scenes is when he's made the goo-goo eyes with Barbara Carrera, and or she's made at him because she's so lustful, and he's goes back to his home, and she's sitting there like cleaning up his house, and he's pissed, like nuclear mad, and I don't blame him, because here this chick shows up unannounced, starts doing shit to his house, moving stuff around, starts doing the dishes and cleaning, throwing shit away, which she shouldn't be doing it at all. Zero respect for this guy. It's the biggest shit test I saw at film up to this point. I'm only 12 years old. And then he sits there and they're arguing, and she's getting all bitchy with him, and and of course this is going to lead to mad rolling in the mud sex here in a moment while he's holding the the hose and with the stupid music playing. But the thing is he grabs his beer, and you could tell it wasn't planned, and he goes, "Lady," and he pops the top, and it just kind of foams all wrong, really, and he's trying to deliver his line. And every time I watch this movie, I look for that, I go, I don't know how they held it together, because it's so stupid and silly, but this movie is so fun. I mean, Chuck Norris movies are interesting. I like them. You get in a frame of mind of watching them. I'm honestly would say that I don't know that a lot of them are that fun. You know, sometimes after this year or two, they get to be where they're all guns at shootouts. But this was the transition movie to me, and I think you nailed it, RDB, about this film. After this, it kind of, in my opinion, goes downhill. But what a great film! It's everyone's going to talk about Chuck Norris's fight with Bruce Lee. No, it's Lone Wolf McQuade. It's the magnum opus of anything, and that's all things Ranger.
The press conference, he shows up, he's all dirty and disgusting, and he's all they're all in dress clothes, and he's like, what are you doing here? And I love, like, the cops like, where the hell did you get the machine gun from? You can't have that. It's not a police issue. And he's like, oh. the end fight scene, because he's trying to rescue his daughter with David Carradine.
Yeah.
Another good scene there too.
And the best line too, and I use it too every now and then, just to explain the dumb decisions we as guys make, which is particularly testosterone based, and penis measuring. But it's when him and Carradine are going at it, and it's a little too rough, and of course she gets in the damn way of everything again and ruins that. And he goes, "Boys are just having a little fun." love Wolf McQuade. It's probably the funnest movie on this list, actually.
It is.
Okay. All righty, Venkman, what do you have, number 5?
We're going to go back to War Games.
All right.
This was a good movie I watched. I remember it. And I watched this after watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So
War Games so much better than Ferris Bueller, by the way.
It is. But I still love Ferris Bueller for certain things in that movie. And it's not for Rooney.
Okay.
No, but War Games was like every kid in the 80s when you got a computer, like oh, imagine if I hacked the government, I could do all this stuff. Kids were just stupid back then. Yes. This guy actually does it, gets to a program, and he thinks it's like, what the hell am I even doing? So he just starts asking questions, and he's like, okay, I'll just do this. He's bored. Turns out, all of a sudden the cops show up at his house and everything, and he's just the point where he's like. And he's on the run. He's trying to track down the guy created this program because the governments are like, because they're afraid that this thing is if they didn't stop the AI, it was going to launch a nuclear war against all the other countries. And so, as I said, it just felt good. I mean, Matthew Broderick movies, the early ones were really good, and especially just to the point where he got to the point where he's like, you know what, I'm going to do Godzilla, and I was like, no, but no, this is one of my favorite movies to watch. And I admit, I haven't watched like about 10 or 12 years, but I'll have to give it another watch again sometime soon. It's Ali Sheedy in here, hot. Remember, I watched all these movies when I was in my teens, so this is like this is Venkman's puberty movies I'm watching here.
Okay, I guess that's one way to look at it. All righty, moving on. I've got to say, this is a film me and Gail quote to each other all the time. 1983, starring Terry Garr, Michael Keaton. It's a movie called Mr. Mom. There's one particular line in it where he's taking his kids to school, and the daughter goes, "You're doing it the wrong way." And this killed me because I didn't realize this is the character until upon rewatch, because I'm doing it the Jack Butler way, which, guys, that's my dad and my brother's name. But and then, of course, he pulls up, "I'm sorry, you're doing it." Then we always quote this back and forth. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Of course, this is at the era when it was big for the woman to go to work while the man stayed home. Not so much today, but still, it's just a lot of fun, very funny. Michael Keaton, I think he's done himself a disservice. I'm going to say the same thing about Tom Hanks. When they went dramatic, they never went back to the comedy that got him started. And I mean, you did get a little bit of comedic Michael Keaton in the other guys, and he was funny as hell. I don't think I think they just kind of screwed up. He is such a charming comedic actor, and he loses out a little bit on this. Either way, Mr. Mom, very fun film. Once again, full of charm. Love it. All righty. 220, 221, whatever it takes.
It's on my list to watch.
All right, so let's see. We have at number 5. Let me pull this up again. Where are we going? All right. Number 5 for Jim, Scarface. Number 5 for Joe Rogers, Lone Wolf McQuade. Number 5 for Maranya is Trading Places. Number 5 for Eric, Mr. Mom. Number 5 for Octopussy is number 5 for Zach is Octopussy. Okay. I like the one where he works at the auto plant better. Gung Ho. Gung Ho is a pretty good movie too, Ed. I can't take that away from you, man. That's a lot of fun. All right, let's head to number 4. Rob, what do you have?
A movie that once in a while when I watch it, it just makes me feel kind of good watching it, and I don't really laugh at it, but I just kind of smile and feel good, and that's Vacation.
Oh, Vacation. Okay, I thought you were going to go Scarface. All right.
No.
It was a bad joke.
I would chuckle at Scarface, yeah. No, Vacation, just the whole, every year take a trip for the 1 or 2 weeks over the summer or something was a definite thing in my family. And, 1 year it'd be local, another year it'd be out of state, all the way up the coast to see other family members. And it was a big deal. And I don't really, I don't know. It's hard to explain. After the 80s, it seems like nobody did that anymore. I don't know if that's true or not, or that's just me getting older, but there's something about it. This is just a great little family film. It's just funny enough. It's just toned down enough. I don't know what the hell to call it other than it's just harmless fun, I guess. I don't know. I really like it a lot. It's kind of cool. Yeah. And it's good natured. It's a little wholesome, I guess maybe is the word too. The kids are kids. They're not jerk offs, but they're kids, and he's a bit of a goof. I mean, it really takes the bite out of, what we think of most families today being completely dysfunctional. So I guess it's every upper class white person's, ideal movie. Oh my God, that's so accurate. And I don't mean it like that so much. It's just Chevy Chase is really on top here, and it really shows. And it's just very good.
Okay.
Is it too white bread? I don't know. It's a good film. It's funny, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Some people
you don't know.
Some people like it a bit better than others. That's all I'm saying.
That would be you.
All righty. So what do you have for us at number 4 there, Venkman?
We're going back to Outsiders.
Outsiders. All righty.
I had to read this for school.
For Johnny. All right.
Yeah. This one, I remember the scene that really got me in here was when they're cutting the hair and then dyeing it, and you had to be careful because you don't want to hurt. Yeah. They didn't have really good scissors to cut it all. They had to use a knife.
That would hurt, by the way.
Yes, the dull knife wasn't really that great and all. It was just one of those one of the movies you have to watch. It's actually not only watch that, read the book. Oh,
it's a good book too. Yeah.
It's just the way it shows you how your life can just be messed up in one instant, and basically what bullying does to somebody. I think it was Pony Boy is trying to help. He's trying to help his friend Soda, and so Soda stabbed the guy because the guy.
No, his brother's Soda Pop. Johnny is the kid.
Johnny. Sorry, yeah. But it's been a while since it's like 15 years. But Johnny was being bullied by one of the socials because he was talking to Diane Lane, and the guy, they're going to harass him, they're going to beat him up, and he pulled a knife out and he stabbed the guy, but he ends up killing the guy, if I recall correctly. So they go to Matt. Was it Matt Dillon, the older brother?
No. Okay, so Soda Pop is played by Rob Lowe in the movie. Matt Dillon is kind of the tough guy of the gang who always gets into fights, but he looks after Johnny because Johnny gets it all over the place. His parents are violent and his parents are abusive to him. So he goes out and he hangs out with his friends only to be abused by the Socs. Now Leif Garrett plays the main Soc, and he's the one that Johnny ends up killing in the fountain. After an argument with his older brother Derry, Ponyboy decides to go and run off with Johnny so he could kind of keep an eye on him and protect him. So they run off to this abandoned church. There you go. That's the story.
It's a good story. It's a good movie to watch, really. If you've never watched it, you're missing out.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
It's a bit of a drama. So, I mean, it's a slow burner, but it does pick up.
Alrighty. Yeah, but I think it's a really good story, and I do like the parts in the church where you get to know him, where he tells the story of Stay Gold and all that kind of stuff. Especially Johnny after he saves those kids and stuff. I just felt bad for him. Yeah, there are some cheesy scenes in it. You know, I always mention it, and I will. By the way, we're doing it for Johnny. But also the whole bit where Johnny kind of says, "Hey Pony," leaves a note. "Hey Pony Boy, I think I figured out that book," and it's got that overlay, which is, you know, back then it was the height of special effects of him talking while Johnny's reading the letter. Yeah, it's good times. Good times. Good movie. Alrighty. Let's see. What do I have? Where are we? Number 4? Feeling good, Lewis. Trading Places, man. I saw Eddie Murphy, of course, in 48 Hours, but didn't know who he was, really. I mean, he was that guy from Saturday Night Live. But Trading Places, man, I saw so many freaking times. This movie was funny as hell. Up, down, left, right, all the way through. I love the whole gentleman's wager thing and the way they took him down at the end. Watching Dan Aykroyd just have his life destroyed. But then to come, it was just a enjoyable, fun film. It does get ridiculous at the end. Frankly, I think, why and how are you guys falling for this? As you see, a German girl obviously shoving her boobs in your face and everything at the end with Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's so obvious a play that what's his name from Die Hard and Breakfast Club should have known. Either way, it's just a funny freaking film. It's just a good old fashioned, lay it out there, entertaining joke after joke movie that has good acting and good characters in it. And yeah, it's just a well-written comedy, man. Well-written comedy. Trading Places, number 4. All right, let's go. Let's see what they've got. Joe Rogers, oh, nope. Starts at Jim Sorensen with Sudden Impact. And Joe Rogers says, yeah, Sudden Impact. Sounds good to me, too. All righty, and then we've got Maranya saying Risky Business, Superman 3 for Eric Breen, and Scarface from Zach. All right. What else do we have? It's kind of white. Oh, that's where you got that. Johnny Has a Name, you monster. Stay golden, MF. Stay golden. Is Trading Places a Christmas movie? I would have to say no. And this is, we've had this debate. I think it might actually earn its own video at some point in time. My idea of a Christmas movie is a movie whose plot is revolved around Christmas. It could take place at Christmas, but is it actually a Christmas movie? Like some would say, well, Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. It's just a movie that takes place at no, because it's the Christmas party that gets everybody in, and that's why there's not a lot of people in the building on certain floors, because there's construction going on here, but the offices are open there. The reason why it's closed is it's Christmas time.
It has nothing to do with the spirit of Christmas, therefore not a Christmas movie.
But everything that is the holiday,
just the vehicle to set it up. It could be
the holiday
any day.
Brings everybody in. The holiday brings
again,
everybody
and you
in,
could pick any other holiday, and it wouldn't change that fact.
Lethal Weapon, not a Christmas movie. Takes place at Christmas, but has nothing to do with it. So, yeah, there you go. Best callback to Trading Places appears in Coming to America, Eddie Murphy's best movie. And there you go. But as you can see, there is a video to be made on is this a Christmas movie? Not just Die Hard, but other movies as well. Alrighty. This needs to be a video, says Ed. All right, let's go on to number 3. What you got, Rob?
I think a movie that has a really good example of adult stuff in it, but tricked out in 80s teenage bullshittiness, and that's Risky Business. Scores fantastic. Of course, we all know it's a Tom Cruise movie, but it really is about a guy trying to find his way, and looking at it now going, oh, he's that concerned about his SATs and going to Princeton. And, at the time, the college is a joke to get into now as far as the standards and the grades and everything's watered down a lot. Back then, it kind of meant something a little bit. And of course, we're talking nearly almost 40 years ago. And the guy came from an upper crust family. That'd be something that, you know, E and I would never even consider at the time. So we had to, you know, find our own ways. But that being said, he doesn't come across as, you know, a rich, elitist, you know, douchebag that, you know, we don't give a shit about. We can empathize with him as just being, you know, a guy trying to work really hard, taking personal responsibility in something, and this is what he wants. And of course, he finds out how to deal with the real world in his own way, and literally and figuratively becomes a man by doing so. And it's actually a much smarter movie than it is, rather than, you know, oh my God, it's Tom Cruise and his, you know, Whitey singing and all that crap that they always portrayed it out to be. It's really not. And, you know, if you can get past all that stuff when you get older and watch it, it's definitely still, I think, a very solid film that holds up. There's not a lot of them at that age where college really meant to be something serious about becoming a man and those things, even though there's, you know, goofy hijinks and stuff like that. It is an underrated film, I think, because I think it's just been kind of almost downplayed by going, oh, it's where he's got the Ray-Bans and he's, you know, making love on the train, and they talk about all these scenes that, you know, are really familiar with the movie, but that's really not what the movie's about. So, yeah, definitely a very good film, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of themes to the movie that get buried underneath the individual scenes that people talk about. Maranya, hold on. I've started reading off things. Go on ahead. Venkman, what do you have? Number 3.
Well, he just pretty much told what my number 3 was. And it's risky business. That's what I just said.
Right.
That's what he talked about. So, not much to say on than the fact that Rebecca De Mornay she didn't seem like the kind of a skanky person. Even in this movie, she kind of came up with the girl next door. This was a fun movie, and I think we need to do a deeper cut of this film. We need to take it on the kick in it and just go deep into this movie. Well,
here's the thing. I mean, back then, it's nothing new that girls were working their way through med school by doing stuff on the side. So I think it's handled somewhat well, actually. Of course, now every 12-year-old and their cell phone can do whatever they want and try to make money.
Yeah.
No matter whether we call it prostitution or whoring out or whatever you want to call these things these days. So she was just a high class one and it's agreed that the first choice, I'll just simply say, said, well, I know what all you white boys want. It's this, and shows a little bit of an adult thing there too. But yeah, you're right. She came across that way because she's good at her job.
Would you say this is a movie that launched his career too for Tom Cruise?
Absolutely, without question.
Old Tom Rock and Roll, Dancing in Underwear, even his wife.
Before this, he had done, I think, like Endless Love and The Outsiders. And The Outsiders, while he's in it, he's that guy in the background that's running around with Emilio for a scene or two. He had, I think, 1 or 2 lines that highlighted him. Endless Love, by the way, with the loudest, pitchy, squeaky voice. Oh, and he was the bad guy in Taps. So I think the Taps led to this, which boom. But Risky Business made him a star.
Like I said, with the best line of the movie.
Like I said,
sometimes you just got to say, "What the f?"
Yeah. And that's Booger from.
This is early Tom. I still see. I love early Tom Cruise movies more than I like his older movies. I mean, Top Gun is. I guess it's over. People say, "Oh, it's hyped up, overrated." It's
you mean
Top Gun is one of the movies that basically everybody can quote. I don't know who you are, but if you've seen the movie once, you can quote lines from the movie, and still enjoy watching it over and over again.
Okay. All right.
Maybe not you guys, because you guys are old and cynical.
No, I like the movie. That's why it's at number 3. We're good.
Okay, so I got to watch Top Gun on the big screen when I was hooked up with a radio show down here called The Best Damn Movie Show, and they would give us, okay, you go watch this movie, you go watch this movie, and apparently it was like, okay, old man, we want to watch the good stuff, you go watch Top Gun, which I was thinking, okay, haven't seen it forever, remember liking it, so I sit down to watch this, and it's in 3D and everything, and I'm like, I don't remember it being this boring. It just didn't work for me. It really didn't. I wanted it to, not quite. Yeah.
Snyder, you stink.
Okay. Top Gun 2 looks pretty good, though, says Joe Rogers. I don't know. Maybe, but the 3D was tagged on. It didn't look right.
Just
But
understand.
there you go. Alrighty. So number three. What? Oh, we were talking about what is a Christmas movie? What isn't a Christmas movie? This is the ultimate Christmas movie because it even gets marathons every freaking year nowadays, and that's The Christmas Story. Contemplated last time we did this. I even contemplated, should this go on? Shouldn't this not go on? But I have to show respect. When I first saw it, I loved it. Loved the hell of it. Thought it was fun. Thought it was funny, entertaining as hell. I've watched it every year, sometimes twice a year. I think The Christmas Story is endlessly entertaining. And at this point, from here, gotta say, even if you watched it one time, you've seen this movie 27 times at the very least. Even if you watched it once during Christmas, and I know I've watched it more. This is just it's a fun movie. There's a lot you can relate to as a young man, because you always did want that one Christmas present. I get that as an adult. I'll say, oh yeah, just give me this. That's all I want. And then of course it comes along where I'm wearing a pink bunny suit. But damn fun movie. Love it. I wish they would stop with the marathons though, because I think it's starting to get a little backlash. All righty. Okay, and I quieted the group.
Ralphie, shoot your eye out.
We're digesting your passionate speech there.
Many people don't realize that Ralphie actually is Action Comics growing up.
Okay, so anyway, just to go back to it, it captures small town life, and that's one of the things that makes it. This is a charming freaking movie. Right on top of it being a good Christmas film, that's one thing. I love the way it deals with the bullies. I like the way that you have the guy just turn around, getting tired of the bully and smacking the crap out of him, which I would have loved to also at one point see the turnover where he realizes, okay, he's not surprised because he gets attacked back and beats the teetotal hell out of Ralphie boy, which you know is coming. You know that's coming. Hey, look, we see this is a temporary victory for him alone, but you know he's getting his ass kicked the next time. But that may just be me. All righty, number 3 for
my friend has the leg lamp.
Oh, the leg lamp, yeah, and it's just funny as hell. It really is. Jen Sorensen says number 3 is Vacation. Joe Rogers, The Right Stuff. Maranya, Eric Breen, Trading Places. Maranya says Staying Alive, directed by Frank Stallone. Tony Manera had real character progression. Excellent dance scenes. The sequel is way better than its predecessor, Saturday Night Fever. And Slitherclaw says Risky Business at number 3. Funniest homage to Risky Business was in The Nanny with the butler. When he gets busted doing the dance, you realize that I'll have to kill you now. All righty. Let's see. And we're getting a couple of Top Gun watch party requests, but we've so far gotten 3 or 4 requests for movies this year from 1983. Number 3 for Zach is War Games. I disagree with Maranya about that Saturday Night Fever thing, but everybody's got opinions. All righty. So, Rob, number 2, what's your runner-up?
War Games.
War Games.
Great movie. Like it a lot. It's got a certain innocence to it. It really captures the age and spirit of the time, what was going on with computers. I was deep into that stuff at that time. It brings back a lot of memories. I'm rewatching a show called, I think, High Score, something on Netflix, a few episodes in. And the first episode catches you because it's got this old Asian guy. And it was about the guy who designed Space Invaders. And he pulls out his old manuscripts where he's putting his notes in his log, and he's got the old what we used to call bitmaps where you'd pencil in stuff there too and then write the code to do all the lines, which of course nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about these days. Everything's an engine and all the code's written for you basically. Yeah, what an interesting show. But I always go back to it all started with War Games. You know, you can talk about other science movies of the 70s, Crichton stuff and everything else, but War Games was the right movie at the right time to kind of capture that spirit. And you know, the whole Easter egg concept, trying to figure stuff out. That's what teenagers do, or at least they did back then. Like, no matter whether it was computers or sports or whatever, it's just that doesn't ever really get discussed or captured a lot. And it just still to this day, it's so infinitely rewatchable. And I think one of you guys, it might have been a doctor, mentioned a comment I thought was really good too. I'll re-summarize it by saying that I agree, and that this is the least annoying I've ever found Matthew Broderick. Honestly, it's just a nice film. It's just really great. I can rewatch this movie anytime. Well, it's really good.
To reiterate something Venkman said about Tom Cruise, I like young Matthew Broderick movies a lot better than I do older Matthew Broderick movies.
Yeah,
that's just the thing, man. And I'm talking about like stuff like Project X or Max Dugan Returns. Give me movies like that rather than some of the other stuff I see him in older. I think he went to stage, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he's a stage guy. He's been
yeah,
for a long
but
time.
the thing is stage acting is different than movie acting. Stage acting is more pronounced and more, because you got to make sure.
Want to punch him.
Yeah, you got to make sure the person in the back row could see you. But if you're doing that with a camera that's right here, it looks ridiculous. So I think Matthew Broderick. And by the way, I'm not going to take away from his talent. The man can sing, man can dance, and yes, the man can act. But unfortunately, these days, it seems like he can only stage act. So do that with what you will. But I still think he's a wildly talented guy, in movies like War Games, Ferris Bueller, and so forth really showed that off. So there you go. All right, Venkman, number 2.
Do you know what the penalty for animal cruelty is in the state? No, sir, I don't. Well, it's probably pretty stiff. This is the vacation. We're not really violent people. This is our first gun.
We're not really. Well, this is our first holdup. Our kidnapping is what she says. Yeah, this is our first kidnap. We might watch that, but honey, you want to watch Vacation?
Poor grandma.
Sure. Yeah, we're gonna watch Vacation after this. I just told you we're gonna watch Vacation. I think. Yeah.
What can I say? This is one of his Chevy Chase Chevy Chase 80s into early 90s was his best stuff. I always loved his Clark Griswold, even in the Christmas one. This is the one with John Candy when they want to go to the whole I forgot what it's called.
Wally World.
Wally World, that's what it is, yes. But this is from the opening to the end. It's one of those movies where you have to watch it, and you're not. I don't care. You could be the person who just most stuck up person. I'm not gonna laugh at this, and you will find something in this movie that'll just make you just like start snorting and laughing, because that's how Chevy Chase is. Chevy Chase is a good method actor. I loved just his serious face, even as Ty Dillinger when he was in the
yeah.
Caddyshack. I mean, Chevy Chase is a good guy. He's one of those comedians you're not going to find another. He's one of a kind. You're not going to find another Chevy Chase. Just like you'll never find another Eddie Murphy. You could have people, because you notice that the way comedies change over the years is not as different than what it was back in the 80s.
Members only jacket wearing guy in this movie too.
And he is. This whole movie, he's just a guy and it's a family and they're on vacation. It's that simple. But the way they do it, the jokes here, it's just like, holy crap, this is a multi-million-dollar idea. And no one ever thought of it before. They thought was just, that sounds kind of boring. What, they're just trying to go to an amusement park? Until you start you put Chevy Chase in the main role. That's what sold it. That's what made everyone around him, it just became more funny because of Chevy Chase.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great film.
So
okay. More on that later. So let's go on to my number 2 is a movie that I'm sure that everybody thought was going to be my number 1. That's Return of the Jedi. The big finish to the Star Wars trilogy. I loved it as a kid. I loved the Star Wars trilogy as a kid. Special effects, dead on. It answered all the questions we need, brought back Han Solo. I thought it still, by the way, looks beautiful. It looks awesome, and it is the one that George Lucas fucked up less than any of the others when he went to the remake. So you could still at least get a good feeling for what it was supposed to be. Just endlessly entertaining, and I don't mind that the Ewoks defeated the stormtroopers. I don't know if I believe the whole it's supposed to resemble Vietnam, where the where the smaller forces beat the invading army and such like that. I thought that was
come on, evil white guys getting destroyed. Of course.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But yeah, I still like it. I think thought it was pretty good, and I like the whole bit with the daddy issues lightsaber fight. But it was pretty cool as well. I mean, if you watch that, it's quicker. When George Lucas made the first film, he wanted the saber fights to be more like the old knights with the big broadswords, which I thought as an adult, not as a kid, I thought the lightsaber fights were cool as a kid, but as an adult, when I heard that, I was like, but it's light. There's no weight. Why are you doing, you know, it should have been more like you do with the fencing and everything, because these are lighter swords. But it still made for an awesome lightsaber battle between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. It's some of the best cinematography, some of the best. I mean, I've mentioned it before, but some of the best lighting. I think he went a little bit over the top just to tell you how awesome reining it in sometimes. You have Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker fighting against space, you know, and by that I mean, you know, in the background, and you see them in kind of in a dark corridor. They let the lightsabers light up everything, and that was perfect. He went a little overboard in the prequels, excuse me, when they just show the lightsaber like this and it's lighting up. I'm like, yeah, I know what you're going for. You did it so much better in Return of the Jedi than you're doing it right here. And I think that's the benefit of practical effects. You know, you have to figure out how to make these things look good rather than you just stand there. We'll do it in post. You know, it's just so much better and so much more entertaining than the movies that came after it. And I was kind of sad. 15 years to wait for the next Star Wars movie is what we were announced. And that's the power. That was the power of the original trilogy. The first three, back when it was Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I don't give a freaking heck about the chapter this or chapter that. It was just 3 movies. This was the last chapter, and it ended it greatly. All right. Let me find out what you're saying. Oh, and by the way, I also, like producers, because Ed said, what was the last good Matthew Broderick movie? My answer was Election. Marania's saying that she liked Producers in the movie where he tries to compete with Danny DeVito. Deck the Halls is what it was called, for the brightest decorations, Christmas decorations. I like the Producers for the music, but that is so much of Broderick acting to the back row. Let me see. We have Jim Sorensen saying Trading Places is at his number 2. Are you okay?
Choke on it. Yeah, I'm good.
Right. Joe Rogers saying Vacation, The Big Chill for Eric Breen, War Games for Marania. And there you go. That's where we're standing on that. So the big dog. Rob, how about recapping and giving us your number 1 movie of 1983?
Number 10, Bad Boys. Number 9, Christine. Number 8, Revenge of the Ninja. Number 7, Charles Bronson's one of his great movies, 10 to Midnight. Number 6, Something Wicked This Way Comes. Number 5 is the magnum opus of one, Chuck Norris, Lone Wolf McQuaid. Number 4 is Vacation. 3, Risky Business. 2, War Games. And this next movie is by far, to me, the best movie of 1983. That doesn't mean I rewatch it like crazy like I might some of the other films on her. Certainly not as much as Revenge of the Ninja or 10 to Midnight or Lone Wolf McQuaid. It's Scarface, hands down, best movie. Really, really great movie. Really set the tone for what was going on, everything in the 80s. It's say hello to the bad guy. I mean, man, what a good movie. And I tell you, the movie that you're watching, you're like, okay. But then somehow you realize maybe about a half hour, 45 minutes into it, it's got you hooked and you don't know how it did it. It's like the doctor that gives you a shot that you don't feel. And that's what scares me about it. It really is that seductive and that good. Yes, Miami was the thing in the 80s with Miami Vice. And, you know, I used to go down there as a kid on vacations before it turned into the newer Miami in the 90s. But, yeah, Scarface, just great film. Top to bottom, and it really is about positions of power, and you know, as you're a guy doing stuff. In many ways, it's like the B side of Risky Business, I guess. I don't know. It's just such a great damn film all the time. And man, did this thing have some legs to it? I know anybody that's a fan of it's a fan of it still to this day. It's just I don't think most people go back and give these old movies a revisit. That's a shame because it's certainly up there as a great film.
Well, I got to admit that I kind of forgot that was out this year when I was making my list, or it would definitely be on the top 10 somewhere. So I'm going to live up to what I wrote down, though. And it's a really good film, and I think it speaks to the watchability of Al Pacino. because what you said is exactly right. It takes a while for him to even get into the lifestyle that we all remember. We remember, of course, Say Hello to My Little Friend. We remember scenes, but it's the in-between stuff that is also very interesting and exciting to me. Also, one of the best things to do is to watch these actors work. There's a lot of things said, like I believe it's F. Murray Abraham plays one of the gangsters. Mm-hmm. When watch his face when Tony Morano, when Al Pacino is saying his lines and talking about how, well, you're not going to do this, blah, 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 and he's kind of chest thumping. Watch F. Murray Abraham. There's a lot of nonverbal acting in that scene where you could tell the machinations are going, and this guy is not long for the world. But that's just one of the better things. One of the better things about it. So yeah, I agree with you. Really good movie. How about you, Venkman? Recap and number 1.
All right. Number 10 is Christine. Number 9, Octopussy. Number 8, Lone Wolf McQuade. Number 7, The Man with Two Brains. Number 6, Trading Places. 5, War Games. 4, Outsiders. 3, Risky Business. 2, National Lampoon's Vacation. And my number 1 movie. And let me tell you something. In this country, you gotta make the money first. And then when you get the money, you get the power. And then when you get the power, you get the woman. Scarface, man.
All righty.
This guy, Al Pacino, this is Al Pacino's sole movie that I really don't like a lot of these movies. You know, people like his other movie where he played the devil, you know. The Devil's Advocate. I like this movie with him because it's true. You build yourself up, that's how you come to power. And that's you work hard. This guy came from nothing, worked his way up to the top. And he got so high, you know, that he basically touched God and got kicked back down. You know, he paid for it. So basically the moral of the story is that don't be greedy. Settle for what you can. You know, if you do the best you can, you know, but the problem is that you don't want to go freaking too much, and then you're basically going to cause your, you know, collapse or whatever. Your whole life's just going to suck. You're going to get shot or killed. But however, a lot of people, teachers, did not like this when you say this, like talk about you start talking about this movie. You're like, oh, it's a horrible movie. It's about a bad guy killing this. I'm like, no, it's not a self-made man. You know, this applies to freaking Wall Street. It applies to all that stuff. You know, you're not necessarily killing people, but I'm saying you do what you do to get you to where you need to be. You know. You can't pussyfoot, and people are they'll say like, "Whoa, that's not right." You know, you can be kind. I'm like, "Wow, the world's not a kind place," and I love this all the lines in here. Like, you know, it's the little quotes these guys like, "All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break for no one."
Is it me, or is Venkman actually talking about work ethic through a murderous drug dealer?
We do what you do to get to survive, man. And guess what? You come with the chainsaw, you better believe it. The chainsaw's going on you.
All righty.
There's certainly a heaviness to the film that a lot of stuff in the 80s won't have, and it becomes a character itself. And that's one of the love-hate things I have about the 80s. You know, we've talked about it before. Things have jumped the shark in terms of 80s movies, and this one definitely doesn't have it. I don't think of this movie as being glamorous whatsoever. I know it's been glamorized, but no, that's why I like the heavy with it. You know,
one thing I always wondered, because you see Scarface on like all the rapper TVs and everything, and I was like, why not The Godfather? He actually rose to power and had the Pope kissing his rings. Scarface was shot in his own product. I mean, that's the, you know, I always thought Godfather would be if you're going for that lifestyle, that would be the person. But
Scarface had the awesome gun. You went on like
he was shot to death in his own product. I'm sorry.
But he didn't have it.
Give me dying old in an Italian villa any day. That was how. That's how. Godfather was.
You get too comfortable in your life. Yeah, that's when you get bumped off.
Thank you. Yes. No. You know what? I'm sorry, but dying in your mansion and your Italian villa estate would be a hell of a lot better than being shot to death in your own cocaine. Sorry, no. I don't believe in I don't want to live fast, die young, leave a gorgeous corpse thing. I want to live to the point where I look like the freaking mummy after 1,000 years.
Yeah, but you gotta get to that point, and there's a price to pay for it, and he was willing to do it. You don't just get to that point and say, okay, now I'm going to coast. Once you do, you're dead. That's what happened to his boss. It's really the circle of life and how you can feast on yourself. But for a brief moment, he was on top.
Especially with his wife, Michelle Pfeiffer, and he's like, I do everything for you, and you're still ungrateful. It's like, it's like, just shows that you work hard. There's always gonna be a gold digger.
That's true.
That's also
she wasn't interested in him to begin with, and that was his ultimate mistake.
All righty, so at number 10, I had Psycho 2, number 9, Superman 3, number 8, Something Wicked This Way Comes, number 7, The Outsiders, number 6, War Games, number 5, Mr. Mom, number 4, Trading Places, number 3, A Christmas Story, number 2, The Return of the Jedi, and my number 1 film takes place on Holiday Road. And this did change from my last list. I do believe I had Return of the Jedi up here. Me and Gail have been, we did watch Vacation. We're going to watch it again. We watched Christmas Vacation, where we enjoy these movies. These are awesome films. This is one funny as hell movie. You could say, obviously, it's been 37 years now watching this movie. So, you could say maybe we're a little bit familiar with it, but in all honesty, it still sticks. The jokes are free, and it's quotable. I still say things like, I don't see why people say you got to have hamburger with it. This stuff is good on, and it's on the grill. He's cooking hamburger helper on the grill and everything. The kid stirring the freaking Kool-Aid with his arm. Of course, you mentioned the dog scene. Grandma on the freaking car. There's so many individual funny scenes stuck together. And you talk about Chevy Chase's job. I love his in his line reading. The best one to me comes almost at the beginning when he gets out of this car. It's not the right car. And and she's saying, is it still running? No, honey, that's all it does. It's really just settling down. It's just the way he says that to her is just the perfect line reading. Everything. This is just one of those movies. They came together at the right time and really hit. All the right players, all the right people, all the right jokes. And unfortunately, to contradict Venkman, somebody did think this up before, because this is based on an article of a series of articles of guys' family vacations from the 1950s. So that's where they actually got this. But yeah, Vacation's my number 1 film of the year, easily. All righty. Let's see what we got going on here with you guys. Jim Soren says number 1 is Return of the Jedi. So does Zach Richmond, Return of the Jedi. Joe Rogers, Return of the Jedi. Maranya says Something Wicked This Way Come, very faithful to the spirit, if not the actual story of what Bradbury wrote. As an arachnophobe, that spider scene literally gave me nightmares afterwards. Ed Brewer says it's time to cancel Pacino because he wasn't really Cuban. Eric Breen says number 1 is Return of the Jedi. Number 1 for Slow the Claw is Superman 3. All right. They enjoy your take on Scarface. It's an interesting take, says Ed Brewer. Scarface is more gangster in response to what I said about the Godfather. Eric Breen says, doesn't make more sense to live the life you want and live long enough to die old and rich. I'm on E's side with this one, says Eric Breen. And share a beer with Rusty. I love that. Chevy Chase takes 1 sip, hands it over, and he just freaking tails it, hands the can. And while Rusty's talking, he shakes it, and it's like he just throws it. Yeah, really good scene. Really good scene.
No, that's the big thing about Scarface. Looking at Eric's comment, is that you pay a price to get to a point, and in doing so, it does change you a little bit. So what you think you wanted, the life you thought you wanted to live, to achieve that, it requires a sacrifice. And once you sacrifice and get there, you've changed as a person, and that's no longer the same type of thing. And that's kind of the beauty of it. Even though they're criminals, well, it's a very real film. I think that's why a lot of the rappers took to it, because there was a realness to it from the street level that responded with inner city types.
The thing, though, speaking of what you're speaking on and The Godfather, is that, yes, I say he dies old in his Italian villa, but he also dies alone. I mean, by that time, because, of course, his corruption and all sorts, he's chased his family away. So all he has is himself. And that's one thing. He does die in his Italian villa, rich as hell, but he is by himself. So that is the sacrifice that he made to put himself at that top. Yeah.
Tony also had to deal with his sister, too, in this movie, too. That was going to help you there.
Yep. Yeah, the only other movie that reminds me of this that deals with drugs is Dallas Buyers Club, which is an extremely underrated movie. It's I think it's very good, but it doesn't have the hardcore gangster kind of element that this movie does.
I also think that Scarface had the better video game.
Yeah, it's a much better video game than Dallas Buyers Club.
No, I'm talking about The Godfather.
I know what you were talking about. Yeah,
Dallas Buyers Club. That's a real life game. You don't want to play that.
No. All righty. So anyway, that's it. That's 1983, guys. Great list, a lot of fun. And if you are watching this after the fact, after we've posted, make sure you leave your top 10. I do write everybody's votes down. So at the end of all of this, I'm scoring them up, and it's pretty easy. Those at number 1 get 10 points. Those at number 10 get 1 point, and we add it all up, and boom, whatever the highest score is, that's the number 1 movie of the 80s. Thank everybody for hanging out with us, and thank you very much to RDV and Real Classic for helping me count these down. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching, and remember, stay extreme.